Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. HR 1044, a new bill that was passed in the United States Congress. Democrats, 220 of them voted for it, and in the Republicans, 140 voted for it. So this is a pretty strong vote for it. And this essentially makes it easier for some countries, for people applying from some countries, and it makes it a little bit harder for some others. But clearly, there is an underlying message that is being conveyed in this bill. However, this is just the first step. The same bill has to be, submitted in Senate, and that has to, we don't know what shape and form it's going to get passed there, and if it will pass. And then if there are differences, that has to be reconciled. So there's a few more steps before this becomes law. But this is the first starting step. And to know a little bit more about this and the other things that led up to it, who voted for, who did not vote, what were the people who were thinking, who didn't vote, so there's a lot of currents that are running underneath this vote. To get to know all these things, we reach out to our specialist political observer, Aditya Satsangi. Aditya, welcome to PGurus channel.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Aditya, why don't you walk us through your perception of how this vote went down? Perhaps before that, you can say what your thoughts are about how this bill changes a few things.
Yeah, so HR 1044, it's an act by the U.S. Congress. It was put forth by Joe, and it's an act to remove cap from the skilled workers immigration. Now, this bill was particularly put by the influence of a lot of software firms and non-software firms who utilize talent from overseas. So this bill was fully supported, was sponsored by them, and the idea was to remove the cap so that the skilled immigration from India and China can take place.
Now,
so
go ahead, please continue. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Yeah. So in this HR 1044, by removing the caps, the U.S. companies will be able to hire more skilled workers from wherever they are available. So that's a very business-friendly bill. It had a bipartisan support, even though there were 57 nays from Republicans and 4 nays from Democrats. But overall, it passed through the Congress very easily. Now it's waiting in the Senate. So I'm sure the Senate also will pass through very easily.
Now, the numbers in terms of percentages for countrywide, it used to be 7%, and now I think it has increased to a slightly different number. I believe it is
14%. 14%.
Okay, so essentially it doubles.
But the cap has been removed now. With this bill, the cap will be removed. Not even 14% now.
When you say cap will be removed, what cap will be removed?
So, for example, they were saying that in a year, if the 14% are if they're skilled people and India has more than 14% and China has just 12%, then the 2% from China will be passed over to India. So that cap is over.
I see. So there's a overflow cap. Okay.
Overflow cap will be over. So in that way, it will help Indian professionals a lot because now they can come here in big numbers, settle down, and it's a great opportunity for India as a country.
So this is the H-1B cap, but is
green card? It's a green card thing.
It's a green card thing. So that's the thing. So essentially, those who are already in this country, who are looking at 8 to 10 years of time before the H-1 gets converted to green card,
right?
Maybe they can hope to see that thing happen a little bit faster. My guess is if it doubles, essentially, maybe we can think of in an ideal situation that the waiting time will halve. So, 4 to 5 years, maybe. I don't know. We have to see how it plays out in reality, and then only we will know. But more important,
on this point, I'll say if this bill goes a Senate majority, there'll be no backlog in 3 years.
Oh, you think you're very, very, very optimistic? That'll be awesome.
Very optimistic. If this goes through Senate, no backlog in 3 years.
Wow. Why do you base what do you base that observation on?
Because only 285,000 applicants are there in the pipeline,
Oh,
and
I see.
if in 3 years, then there is, because once you limit the caps are over, then you are just looking at 3 years, because and I think they'll do it retroactively. So before I think before 2016, they're going to clear all the cases, and 2016 onwards, this act will be applicable.
Okay.
So even those will go fast.
Hmm. Now
But there is a catch. There is a catch, because right now this bill doesn't have there's a legal term for that. It doesn't have the comments from the Treasury yet.
I see. I see.
That's what is needed.
There was a time, viewers, in the 60s that you came in as a student. As a student, you're studying, you could apply for a green card if you decided to do so, and you would get a green card almost a matter of months. There's only one downside to that. Once you got your green card, you were also liable to be compulsorily conscripted. United States was fighting a war in Vietnam, so that was the downside, that you could be called up to be enlisted in the army. But those were the days in the 60s, and then slowly these things started becoming longer and longer, and now we are at 8 to 10 years. Now this is an interesting aspect. There's also SOPs for people who are coming in for high net worth individuals also, right? The EB5 program, EB2 and 3, all these also are becoming smaller, and I think the restrictions are also being lifted a little bit from what I could see. What are your thoughts on that?
EB5 has been grossly misused by some business people.
Yes.
Not from India, but from other countries. So I think
Yes.
EB5 will be eliminated. I think it's already getting eliminated now, and so EB5 will be out. But EB2 and EB3, I think they'll be merged together. So there'll be no EB1, EB2, EB3, and so there some drastic changes will happen due to this bill.
And why do you foresee everything getting merged and simplified?
Because they're going to make the screening much stricter. So probably they'll automatically, like if you have a US degree, you'll go through priority lane.
I see.
And if you have a non-US degree but you have conscripts to prove that it's equivalent to the US education, then also it will go fast. But any other category will also get rejected also. So there are some positive, but there are some negative as well.
So this is something that has not been covered in any of the articles that I have seen on the web. So that is some useful information. Thank you, Aditya. Now, you're forming all this based on your reading of the bill, or?
No, my attorney's direct information.
Okay, so there is something beyond. So you're reading between the lines. So
my immigration attorneys, they are helping me understand.
Okay, that's good to know. Now let's look at the people who have not voted for this bill. And there's a history there. Maybe I'll let you walk through it. Some of the notable people who did not vote for this.
Yeah, so a good point. So out of I see the numbers here. So this bill got total 84% of the vote of the House, 84%. So it got around 365 votes, 224 Democrats and 140 Republicans. So very bipartisan. 57 Republicans were absent, and they voted nay. And 8 Democrats voted nay. And I'd like to focus on those 8. So these 57 Republicans who said no, I can understand many of them have old positions with their constituents. So they voted nay because in those particular constituencies, immigrants have replaced local populations in big numbers. And I was assuming, and there's no hiding the fact that they will definitely vote no, because otherwise they'll lose the House. But the 8 Democrats out of total Democrats in the House are around 234, and out of which 232 Democrats stand out in stark contrast to 224. And I would say that who are those 8? That's what we need to know. And those 8 are Rashida Tlaib, Michigan 13th Congressional District. Then you have Omar Elan, Minnesota 5th Congressional District. Then you have Uete Clark, Democrat, New York. He voted no. And then you have Marcy Kaptur from Ohio ninth Congressional District, and Marcia Fudge from Ohio 11th District, and Jim Clyburn from South Carolina 6th District, all Democrats. And one more, Cedric Richmond from Democrat from Los Angeles.
Now, the
Very
first two
simple.
names are very strange because they themselves are immigrants, I believe.
Yeah, refugees and immigrants. And one is Ilan Umar. She's a refugee from Somalia, and on in the 5th Congressional District, very closely affiliated to CARE. And the second was Rashida Tlaib, very closely associated with the Hamas, whom she called as her people earlier. And uh, and and she voted because these people, they are thinking in their traditional way, Middle Eastern way. For them, they only favor Islamic and Islamic based immigration, and that to refugees. They want to completely avoid skilled labor, just get in refugees who can eat on the state.
That's really strange because this is a very progressive bill, and I'm sure there are very intelligent people even in the Middle East area region who would also want to immigrate to the United States. I mean, why should see, if you want to come in as a refugee, then you have to really have a very solid background of oppression or repression in the country you're living, or having been victimized, or you've been looked at in a way that that you have to have personal suffering. It's a much harder claim to make, rather than just saying that I feel I'm qualified to emigrate to the United States based on this. So why do you think they are doing this thing? I mean, apart from their region, it seems very, very tunnel vision kind of thing.
No, for them, for they have made a business out of refugee-based migration now. It's a business for them. So regions like Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan, then you have Yemen, and this is the larger conspiracy where these all these conflict zones. United States, because it's part of the UNHCR, and there are demands from the Trump administration to come out of UNHCR, because UNHCR seem to be is a Geneva-based organization, and they have been constantly routing for countries to accept refugees. In fact, so that's a different topic altogether. So these people have political interests of changing demographics using refugee-based migration. They've done it successfully in Minnesota. They've done it in some parts of Michigan. They're doing it in California to a large extent now, in the LA and San Diego counties. So it's a strategy by them. And the moment they get these people, then these are the captive audience for the Democrats. And these people, they go in and claim victimhood. But the one thing that I have been emphasizing or trying to emphasize, that their mindset doesn't change. Like, they have been taught to not work or mix with the kafirs from their childhood, and they bring the same mindset in. So they create islands of communities in the US, and they vote together for one leader. So that's the main reason why they are opposed of it, because when a skilled immigrant comes, and I'm sure the skilled people from those regions, they would love HR 1044, because it's an open chance for them. But these people have made it so easy because they get a certificate from UNHCR, then the countries are forced to accept them, but the refugees have the first rule of refusal, for first right of refusal, so they can decide which country they want to go to.
Wow, that's strange. But be that as it may, those are the rules of UN, and everybody who's a member of UN has to follow that. And let's hope that some changes come in that direction also. But thank you very much, Aditya, for sharing your thoughts on 1044. And as this bill navigates its way through the Senate and further, we will keep you posted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.